Hey everybody, Brian Good here for Storm Talk, Fall Talk, Rain Talk. I'm not sure what they even call it anymore. Rain Talk would fit how this is going for us. I'm going to focus on this cutoff low, the low pressure that we're dealing with now through the beginning of the weekend. We'll talk about the weekend setup, and then we'll get into next week and a little bit beyond too, because I promised you guys I would touch base on some of these long range models that we're coming out with some interesting stuff, and I'll show you that in a second. All right, first off, here's our low. Still spinning. It's got a strong feeder band here coming off the Atlantic tropical flow, and that's the reason why you're dealing with not only flash flooding but severe weather, because the low is stalled in our area, very little movement. So that means this feeder band also is going to have very little movement. So bad news for the Carolinas, which had to do with Julia, the flooding in eastern North Carolina especially. Now DC is getting ready for a major flooding event for their area. So while we're talking about our issues here locally that would deal with spotty showers, it's going to be a mess for those off the East Coast. I don't know if a lot of attention is being paid to it compared to what Matthew, being the tropical storm to our south, is getting. But still, it's if you've got travel plans in the area, heads up. So let's talk about our low that is cut off from the main flow. We do have some showers that are wrapping around the backside. Now, the low itself, the center of it is generally around Cincinnati, but it's not a perfect circle like an eye of a hurricane. It's actually an elongated center, much more like this. And so therefore, you can get a west wind, or in some cases, we do have a west wind at the moment, so if I had to guess, it's probably like this would be the center of it. So then you get a west flow coming in like this, and then you get more of a east-northeast flow just over the bridge into Indiana. So the center, very close to the Louisville area, in fact. Now, we do have some sun that is trying to come out to the south of us, and that will likely lead to some enhancement at times of some of these showers to produce maybe some pea-sized hail in a few cases, but mainly just some spotty, heavy downpours passing through on the backside. And you look at the visible image here, you're able to see that there is more thinning of the clouds to the south. That will likely lead to some of this activity in Indiana as it moves into an area that's going to get a little bit of heating. We will likely see the best chance for any type of pea-sized hail or even some lightning today. I think it's going to be in this area of wave country, the way it's looking at this point. So let's get right into the models. And here's the setup here. Again, the low center area. As we head through midday, spotty showers will continue. And watch what happens. This is the HRRR model. It picks up on the idea of that sun coming out. And when it does, you get more of the yellows and reds showing up. So more of a convective reaction to that sun, because it is very cold aloft. So once you get that ground heated up, just modest heating, that's all it needs. And just that slight little rise, that warm air into the atmosphere. And it's so cold just above our heads that these clouds just develop rapidly, and there you go. You get heavy downpours and in some cases some small hail. So that's going to be the deal with this kind of a setup. Now the low is going to drift in this general direction later tonight, and then it's going to drift into the Evansville area for tomorrow, and then it's going to drift to the north as we head into Saturday. So it's going to do basically a U-turn through wave country. But that will influence not only the coverage of rainfall, but who gets the rainfall, in addition to the direction that the rain will be approaching from. Because again, the whole circulation is around the low. So for today, most of the activity is going to be coming in from Indiana and working its way into central Kentucky. Tonight, it's a different story. We begin to get that easterly flow as the low sets up shop more to our south and east of downtown. So we're going to get more of a, I guess you would say, an onshore flow if we're at the coast. More flow coming in from the due east. And this will aim right into Louisville and Indiana during the nighttime hours tonight. So the rain chance is going to stay elevated throughout the night. Rolling in from the east as the center of the low will be generally in this vicinity at that point. And then tomorrow, when the low moves into the Evansville area, our wind direction and our flow should be mainly out of the west-southwest. Normally that'd be a warming wind, but we should stay cloudy because we're going to have quite a bit of reaction to that. We're going to have some showers and some thunderstorms filling in any gaps in the cloud that try to develop. So mainly a gloomy forecast again for Saturday. If we get any sun breaks, though, with that southwest flow, there's a chance we could see a little bit of warming more so than we will see today. So that's really the next 48 hours. So let's talk about the weekend. A lot going on. St. James Court Art Show going on. We've got the Harvest Homecoming that's taking place. What else we got? We got a lot of things. My mind's blank right now. What else we got? Football game. We got football games Friday night. Of course, we got Western and the Hoosiers playing here at home this weekend, while the other two are out of town. But here's the setup. Friday night, here's the GFS. This is the Euro. Here is the Canadian over here. And here are the ensembles. Hopefully you're used to these maps now, since I've done them so many times. You notice as the low right around the Evansville area. on just about every model, and the ensemble is really in good agreement. So we're fairly confident it is going to be around Evansville for Friday. Watch, no, pick one of these. I would pick, say, the GFS. See where the center is now? Watch when I change the graphic. See how it moved up? That jogged north. This is for Saturday afternoon. The low begins to move away. Are we in the clear? Not really, because the low itself is going to weaken. So while it's a fairly, not strong low, but a wound up low, all the rain bands and the showers, for the most part, are hugging close to the center of it. But as it begins to weaken, it is going to see, the rain bands are going to begin to stretch out a little bit, almost like that feeder band in DC. They're going to begin to broaden out and cover much more of the area, and also become weaker too, and not as much heavy rain. This will happen on Saturday. So the rain chance has been raised on Saturday to about 40%, but it doesn't mean it's going to be a washout. It just means that as that low moves into around Fort Wayne, the outer band of that is going to get quite lengthy and extend out far, and will likely reach all the way down into Tennessee the way it's looking. So there will be a band of rain at some point Saturday afternoon. One of those bands will pass through. I only see one at this point potentially rolling through. There could be more than one, but right now we'll just say one. But it's not going to be a washout. But that's the reason why the rain chance was raised, is when I looked at the data this morning, strong signal of the weakening of the low and the outer band trying to pass through here. All right, so then next week, let's head into Tuesday. Tuesday, we're going to keep an eye on Matthew. Obviously, there's still some big speed differences here on the models. The Euro is still not bringing it into the picture yet. The Canadian is weak, which is unusual for the Canadian. Usually it's very dramatic with tropical systems. Has it off the Carolina coast, and then, of course, the GFS has it still healthy, basically a hurricane here in the Bahamas. But we already see the ridge. Keep in mind, when you have a hurricane, it doesn't mean we have a trough in our area. We do not have a trough when you have a hurricane like this. It's a ridge. Hurricanes love ridges. It's a ridge of high pressure in this area that is over the hurricane, and that is what is allowing for the hurricane to really maximize itself, for one, but it will allow for a warming trend in our area as well. So we are going to warm up. Now, if anything, if Matthew hugs the coastline, which is most likely scenario at the moment, it will likely, because it is going to be wound up because of the mountains the way they are, a nice little gradient will roll off the mountains and then catch into the high and then turn around back to the south flow. So as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, depending on where Matthew is at that point, if it's right in our near same latitude, we will likely see a decent wind field. So windy, gusty winds, but warm as we head into the middle of next week. And then we got to watch this next trough. I already don't like it when you see the low being already separate from the jet. It's like, already, here we go. Another trying to get to another cutoff low again. But that is kind of what the pattern is looking like. It's a very blocky pattern. And the models are already trying to pinch off another low moving through the Rockies. So it's a potent trough that initially that is digging in. In fact, as we head to about next Wednesday, at this point, you could see that GFS has the trough in the area, but it already is weaker with it. A bit slower, too. The Euro is already making this a negative tilt. It's already pulling that trough inward because it's filling the high. It's filling that high pressure. It's like, nope, I do not want to go there. The ensemble's fairly good agreement here that the high is in control of the southeast. The ensemble in the Euro is a little weaker with it. But the trough tries to push in here, but the problem is I think the ridge is going to hold out. And this is where the GFS and the Euro do differ. Initially, I think when the front approaches, there could be some severe weather with it. But as the trough begins to approach our area, it'll lift back into Canada more than likely. We will see somewhat of a cool down. There will be a front that will pass through. But as far as impacts, they look fairly minor at this point. I'm not too sold on anything dramatic happening here because the ridge, I think, is going to win out in this kind of a setup. And then as we head towards, say, the 11th of October, GFS is trying to bring another backdoor front to make cools back down around the 11th. The ensembles hint at that, so I wouldn't put that off the table yet. For the extended on the earliest alert, I just went flat 70s for now. And then as we get to about the 13th, one thing you notice in the operational run, the GFS, look how blocky the pattern is again. So more of a setup here where we're going to have some cutoff lows, very slow-moving weather pattern, but dramatics in some areas. And the ensembles are fairly flat, which leads to the idea that we very well could find ourselves at the mercy of a blocky pattern. So we'll see how that plays out as we get down the road. Speaking of down the road, CFS model, long range through early, basically through Election Day. Yes, it does show snow in some cases here in Kentucky. Don't pay attention to that. All right? Don't pay attention to any of the snow amounts that you're looking at. What I want you to look at on this is where the snow is. Notice the concentration of snow on each one of these ensembles in the Rockies, on all four, and there's a decent concentration in the Northeast and the Poconos. Varying effects of it, but it's there. That tells me there will be a few troughs. Perhaps the Euro is right on this idea. It's hinting that around Halloween to Election Day there will be a cold snap in the East. That could be the one that gives the Northeast that snow. But there's still quite a bit going on in the West. So more so than anything between now and this point, I think there's going to be more troughs in the West and more of the warming effect in the Southeast. So that's how it's looking to me. So we'll keep an eye on it and stay tuned. I didn't mean to click that map. Sorry about that. Have a good day.